What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So today we are going to be discussing the newly released Macro Mag IFS for the ICR. So that is basically the brand new signature attachment. And it's quite an interesting one because we've never really seen one like this. And I could probably say that the same with like every other attachment. But this one is kind of unique in its own way. So the Macro Mag IFS, it is basically kind of like a LMG type of attachment for the ICR. It basically converts it into an LMG. Based on my knowledge of like all the guns in the game, I think this is like the only other assault rifle besides the Kilo 141 where you could actually put on some sort of LMG type of attachment. And weirdly enough, for the 120 round mag that they have for the Kilo, it doesn't really have bullet impact. As of right now, there's always a chance that they could change that. But the ICR is like the brand new one that has that ability, and this is something that I kind of anticipated for the ICR, given that's more of a long range type of assault rifle. It's crazy how far the ICR has gone in these past years, because back then it was really only just like a M4 alternative. It was a much stronger version, had more range and everything. If anything, this was like the better M4. But then, of course, things changed. The M4 did get better, as well as the ICR. So they kind of like became their very own thing. And with the M4, it did receive a grenade launcher, while this one received the macro mag. And I think it's actually pretty fitting because we don't really see a lot of assault rifles that can actually turn into some sort of LMG. For me personally, I've always liked weapons that could kind of convert to like different types of weapons from another category. So for example, you could turn the M4 LMG into an assault rifle by adding the 40 or 30 round mag, or you could even add those special 60 round 5.56 mags for the AGR and turn it into an assault rifle. Stuff like that I've always enjoyed because it gives the gun a little bit more variety. It gives you more options to use it in a certain way. And yes, with the ICR macro mag, this is probably the most unique one. Yes, like with the Kilo 141, you have the ability to have more ammo, but it kind of slows down your movement to the point where it's not even really a necessary choice in most cases, at the very least. And you guys already know the downsides of that one. You lose like 120% ADS time, so your movement gets cut down by a huge amount, at least when it comes to your ADS speed. This one is kind of different, although I'm not really sure if it's like necessary to have this much of a downside, but given that this thing has performed pretty well for the most part, I'm kind of more accepting to it. So this one with the macro mag, it does reduce your ADS time by 40% instead of 120%. So what this does, like I said, it adds bullet impact. It gives you more, I guess, flinch power to use against the enemy, which I have tested in a private lobby to see by how much it actually does bring up your, I guess, your flinch. It does it does by a very little, but I think it's enough to make it almost close to how the LMGs are, because I have been feeling the bullet impact from like an RPD like very seriously. Not only the fact that it gives you more flinch to your enemies, it also gives you 65 bullets to use. So of course you don't have like any speed reload benefits, so you just reload the default way. Of course, with this gun, it doesn't take that long to reload. If anything, it's pretty balanced for the most part, so I really have no problem with it. But yes, you do get a 65 round mag for like at your disposal. Another upside is that you do get at least 10% more range, which is actually good because, I mean, with a downside like that, I mean, yeah, it's kind of necessary for you to at least get at least some tiny little boost of range. But the greatest thing about the ICR is the fact that its range is super crazy. I mean, like, you could still be able to 3-shot from like a mile away. That's how strong this thing actually is. So you could end up putting like maybe the suppressor barrel as well as like no stock to kind of like make up for the lost movement, which I actually do have right now as like, you know, the video that you're seeing. But yeah, you could actually just make up at least half of it. But keep in mind, with the slow movement, even with all that in place, it's not really going to help you in face-to-face gunfights, unless you're like maybe holding an angle. But for the most part, if you're like going against someone with a CBR or anything else like an SMG, you're pretty much screwed. So that's why if you're actually going to use this attachment, I just recommend maybe just using it at longer ranges. But even then, you don't really have to use it in an LMG form. I mean, you know, the reason why I have kind of an issue with the downside for the ADS is just the fact that, you know, you have a 50 round fast reload, right? That's like there for you to use that only takes away 6%. And yes, you get more flinch that you could use towards your enemies and maybe a slight amount of extra bullet penetration, but is it really worth using for like, just everyday usage? I think that's like one of the more serious gripes that I do have with this attachment. I mean, yes, it's pretty cool. And there's actually a bigger upside that I haven't said, that I haven't told you guys yet, but again, for like, everyday usage, if you want to be a little faster, I mean, you could just use the 50 round mag and it reloads faster. So yes, you miss out on 15 bullets, but is that really going to make that much of an impact on your gameplay? And I'll tell you right now, I mean, when I was doing the night mode thing for Summit, one of the clan nodes, I was having quite a bit of an issue using this gun with this attachment, obviously because it's a lot slower and people were using SMGs during that time. So yeah, but like in maybe Safeguard, it's a lot easier to use, or even Hardpoint. But for the most part, I don't really recommend, using this unless you like absolutely want to or like have to. And I think this is probably going to be used more in maybe BR, but I'm not really sure how flinch is over there, because I think you could like for the most part just hit fire from like a mile away, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, that's just me. I don't really know too much shit about BR other than just Alcatraz. But for all of you guys that actually do want to use it, there is one particular upside that is kind of game breaking, at least for this gun. So like I said earlier, this gun, or I guess this attachment, does provide some extra bullet penetration damage. It's not really a lot. I've tested it. Only your damage only goes up by like 2. So you're probably going to be doing like maybe 26, 24 damage through like maybe wood. But if you do manage to put FMJ together with this attachment, you're basically going to nullify any reduced damage that you shoot through a wall. This basically means that if you're trying to shoot someone through a wall, you're basically just going to have normal damage as usual, as if you were not actually shooting through a wall. And I could see plenty of scenarios where this could be very, very useful because, FMJ, well, at least in this game, bullet penetration isn't really that great. There are places where you think you could shoot through a wall, but sometimes you just can't for whatever reason. I mean, it's very inconsistent in this game, that's for sure, but for places that for sure that you can shoot through a wall, like, I go for it, especially with this gun, because it's going to destroy them immediately. So this is the class up that I do have for you guys. I have, of course, the Macro Mag IFS with no stock integrate suppressor lights with FMJ and OWC laser tactical. So yeah, that's the build that I'm using, and trust me, if you want to shoot through walls, this is definitely the perfect build. So anyways, that's going to be my review for the gun. Yes, obviously you could use it in long range combat and it would be a lot easier, but in close range, not really the best idea in the world. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments, because I actually want to see what you guys think about this attachment. But yeah, anyways, have a wonderful day, guys.